Regardless of what ends up happening in Pittsburgh, they're going to do this again next year. Because even if Rodgers joins them, and he's unreal this year, they still are going to be in the same spot next year, because then it's going to be, well, we signed him to a one-year deal. How much are we willing to give him? Is it a multi-year deal? Is it not? Do we want him? Do we get the best of him? Do we not? Do we look for the next guy who's available? Derek Carr's available. Maybe he's cheaper. Oh, Russ is available again. We didn't have that bad of experience with him. Buy yourself out of the problem. And I think that San Francisco can buy themselves out of the problem by just keeping the guy that they know is really good for them when everything is going right. Right? And you can say, well, they need everything to go right. Well, so does every team. Right? Not every team has Mahomes. Not every team has Josh Allen. We get it. Not every team has Lamar. But they have Purdy. Keep them and buy yourself out of the problem.
Amber and Ian, the mayor of college football. He is Ian Fitzsimmons, who absolutely hates it every time I say that, which is why you will continue to hear it all weekend long. But it's true.
It didn't help. Here we go.
Yeah, it's absolutely true when we walk into the building and somebody yells Fitz and we turn around and it's Caleb DeBoer. That's what happens when you're the mayor of college football.
I have no response.
Yep.
None.
Amber and Ian, weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio. This is Joe and Q.
My mom and dad worked at BART, train system in the Bay Area. Mama Q found me a way to get in there and get an interview. I walked in there, I thought I was Shador Sanders. Mama Q's got a great reputation. Pops has got a great reputation. All I got to do is show up and get the job. Mama Q said, hey, what happened to my son in his interview? And they said, well, how much time do you have? I don't know this. I was not in these meetings with Shador, but that's the kind of feeling that I get.
Joe and Q, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Save big on brunch for mom, all in the Kroger app. Buy 2, get 2 free on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up with your card. Then get flavorful medium Hass avocados for 69 cents each with a digital coupon. Shop these deals at your local Kroger, less than 5 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Kroger app to save big today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
We all plan to be on time, but fender benders, damaged windshields, and slick roads quickly disrupt those plans. At Shelter Insurance, our agents help design personal protection plans that work for you and help keep you on track. Shelter Insurance ranked #1 for auto insurance in the Forbes 2024 World's Best Insurance Companies survey. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Some things you just have to experience live. Like spring meet at Churchill Downs, where amazing moments come a half mile a minute. Experience Downs After Dark, where night comes to life on May 17th and June 21st. Twilight Thursdays, where happy hour rides into the sunset through June 26th. And Family Adventure Day, where memories stack up on June 8th. This spring meet, the race exhilarates. So live in the moment and get your tickets today at churchilldowns.com.
At Walden University, we get the W. We come here for more than just a degree. We come here to make an impact. We step up when everything is on the line, and we create opportunities. At Walden University, we learn the skills to get us to the next level. Plus, with flexible online learning, we can do it on our time. Now it's your time. Get the W. Walden University, set a course for change. Visit waldenu.edu to learn more. Certified to operate by Chev.
Hi, it's Mike Greenberg letting you know to stay tuned at 3 o'clock later today for the Justin Kinner Show. You can also stream the show live at WINGAM.com.
As it was Caleb Williams last year, because he could eventually ascend to being that player that we all expect him to be. But what do we expect the Titans to win? 5-6 games this year? Maybe he exceeds that. But I'm not going to put those expectations on him year one.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
You have cancer. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself.
Round 1 of chemotherapy. I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna survive. There's no way I'm gonna let this take over me.
Cancer doesn't care what you look like, who you are.
It may not save my life. It may save my children's lives. It may save someone you love.
You ain't get this cancer about you.
has been saved.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Visit v.org/donate.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan, Canty, and Michelle on ESPN Radio.
With the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami.
I'm ready to get the ground running with those guys. Hopefully we get together a lot of wins this year.
This kid has a chance to be special.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle, this is Unsportsmanlike. We're brought to you by GNC Ant-Whey Protein, proven to get you 30% stronger in just 8 weeks. Get it at GNC.
Well, we're not even a week removed from the NFL Draft. And even though we had a wild moment last night between the Bucks and the Pacers, a great win by the Nuggets over the Clippers, Celtics close out the Magic, Knicks and Pistons still alive, which we will get to because Tom Thibodeau getting ripped for not playing his guys enough, which is the irony of that. We're not a week removed from the draft, so there's still tons of draft fallout, including an interesting conversation about a lack of a conversation. What does that mean? There's a lot of people that believe that Cam Ward has not been discussed enough. Number 1 overall pick, Incarnate Word, Washington State, Miami. And I think that's a great thing for Cam Ward. I think a lot of people are complaining that Cam Ward deserves more coverage. This man came out of nowhere. He has had the chip on his shoulder his entire life. And I think this continues to be another one. So we've seen it. He was not even recruited to play quarterback, right? Went to 3 schools. I think that if you look at this is kind of his MO. Now it's time to talk about him, though. Now he's in the league. He's a Tennessee Titan. And we stumbled on an interesting conversation and debate that between us on our show as to what's the comp. Is the comp his draft position? Or should the comp be those that succeeded the most at his position? What do we mean? Should he be compared to Caleb Williams and Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick, just like he was? Or should he be compared right off the bat to C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels, who were the best at their positions that came out of that draft?
Well, I think he's got to be compared to the rookie quarterbacks that have done it at the highest level, right?
So Stroud and Daniels.
So Stroud and Daniels. And the reason why is when you take a player with the number 1 pick at any position, but especially quarterback, the expectation is at some point throughout that player's career, he's going to be a top 5 player at the position. And so that's why I'm going to compare him to the rookie quarterbacks that have come closest to being on that trajectory where you can look at them and say they're going to be a top 5 player at the position. Hell, after C.J. Stroud's rookie year, I was ready to dub him a top 5 quarterback, right? We said it was Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes, and I had C.J. Stroud as that 5th guy. Now, I'm not going to say he regressed in his sophomore year, but certainly it didn't take off the way that we thought it would, especially with the addition of Stephon Diggs. Now, that said, C.J. Stroud still got his team to the playoffs, still won a playoff game, 2nd consecutive division title. So there's something to be said for that. Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders, rookie year, awful situation, even worse than what Caleb Williams had to deal with in Chicago from a personnel standpoint, and gets his team to the Final Four. So when we start talking about the expectations that are placed on the number 1 pick turning around a franchise, I'm going to compare it to the recent rookie quarterbacks that have done that, not the ones that we're waiting on to do it, even though they were selected with the 1st overall pick.
And see, I'm going to go the other way and put him in the Caleb Williams, Bryce Young bucket. And I'm doing that because I don't think it's fair necessarily to put those expectations on him to be C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels right out of the gate because of the personnel around him, because of the team. Now, I know Jaden Daniels walked into, as you said, a worse situation than Caleb Williams as the number 2 overall pick and took a team that won 4 games the year prior to the Final Four. That was an unbelievable turnaround. Incredible stuff from Jaden Daniels. C.J. Stroud, same thing. The Houston Texans.
C.J. Stroud was worse.
The Houston Texans were a hot mess. Awful. They were arguably the hottest mess in all of the NFL. And he went in there and stabilized it. And we didn't know what DeMeco Ryans was going to be, but he ended up being an incredible coach and an incredible asset for C.J. Stroud, and now we're watching those two grow together. But I look at Caleb Williams last year, and heading into the season, we talked about this could potentially be the best situation that a rookie quarterback has ever stepped into. This is a guy that for years we've tabbed as a transformational, generational type quarterback. So we expected him to have the success that we saw from C.J. Stroud, but at the end of the day, he's a rookie, and it might take him a while to become that player that we all anticipate him to be. And I think you're right, Evan. I think it is good for Cam Ward that there isn't as much hype around him being the number 1 overall pick this season as it was Caleb Williams last year, because he could eventually ascend to being that player that we all expect him to be. But what do we expect the Titans to win? 5-6 games this year? Maybe he exceeds that. Maybe he does. But I'm not going to put those expectations on him year one.
Can I just make one comment about DeMeco Ryans? I don't remember the last time his name was uttered on our show. That man is 40 years old. He went 10-7 2 straight years, and he's 20-14. I just wanted to give him a shout-out because he's never talked about as one of the best coaches in the league.
He's awesome.
He's never been bad. I know it's 2 years, but, let's just shout that guy out because we shouted out we shouted out Cliff Kingsbury yesterday, who's an assistant coach with Washington, more than we shout out DeMeco Ryans, who's part of this conversation. I understand it's about the quarterbacks. I just want to shout that guy out because that's a hell of a start to his career. Now, separately, I would compare him to the number 1 overall picks for this reason, instead of the best at the position. I think that Jaden Daniels and C.J. Stroud have just made everybody look bad. They're abnormally unbelievable at the as rookies. And I think you could have a great rookie season without living up to Stroud and Daniels, because they are elite level quarterbacks upon arrival. That is so abnormal over the course of forever in the NFL. If I told you, hypothetically, that Cam Ward this year had 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and they won, would you say 6 games?
5-6 games.
Let's go the higher end. 6 wins, so 6-11 for the Titans, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. What are we saying?
Probably firing the head coach.
That didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I would.
You asked me what we're saying. I'm saying, yeah, they're probably saying we're going to get a different head coach in there.
Okay, they may want to do that anyway, but I guess what I would tell you is I still think that's a satisfactory start to a career for a number 1 overall pick, and it's nowhere close. And that's what Caleb had last year, 20-6, and it's nowhere close to Daniels and Stroud.
I can't say it's a good start to your career as a rookie quarterback when your play indirectly leads to, or directly leads to your head coach being fired. Sorry. Can't say it's a successful rookie year when your head coach gets fired.
So instead of comparing Cam Ward to previous number 1 overall picks or the greatest rookies ever, the real success or comparison has to just be Brian Callahan's employment next year. The year after next, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the singular goal for the number 1 overall pick, is to ensure that his coach is employed in his second year.
Yeah, that's interesting because if they win 6 games, they were 3-14 last year. You've doubled your win total from a year prior, which would seemingly be a success. But when you compare him to Jaden Daniels and C.J. Stroud, that does not seem successful. So, yeah, maybe we need to reframe the parameters on how we're going to view whether or not Cam Ward has a positive year 1 by the stability of the organization moving forward.
Yeah, if Brian Callahan is the head coach in year 2, that means that Cam Ward had a successful year 1. Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, not successful year 1s, their head coaches got fired. Both of them.
But see, I view some of that as organizational issues and not necessarily on the quarterback.
I'm not saying that the organization's dysfunction doesn't play a role, but you're stepping into a bad situation. The Washington Commanders were considered a dysfunctional franchise until they weren't because of Jaden Daniels stepping in. The Houston Texans were considered a dysfunctional organization until they weren't because C.J. Stroud stepped in. Same general manager is there, even though they hired a new head coach. Nick Caserio been there. But they got DeMeco Ryans, they got C.J. Stroud, and away we go. So I can't call it a successful rookie year if your head coach gets fired. And that's why the bar to clear for me is not what Bryce Young and Caleb Williams did, but it's what C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels did.
I don't think the Titans are dysfunctional, but I do think, Smalls, there has to be an acknowledgement. We don't have to go exactly where CeCe went, but there has to be an acknowledgement of the general manager got brought in after his predecessor was fired, who hired the current head coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you start to think, do they get the itch? If it's 6-11, we could call it, hey, that's a step, that's doubling the win total, a step in the right direction. but the GM didn't hire the coach. And the GM could look at it and say, cool, 6-11, I built an 8-win team. Where are the other 2 wins coming from? And now blaming Cam Ward, saying, I'm going to get you somebody to get those other 2 wins. That's a lot of conversation about Cam Ward that nobody had before the draft. Again, Cam Ward fans, I know there's so many of you. I think it's a good thing.
But here's what I will say. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility that this Titans team exceeds everybody's expectations. I think Vegas has their win total at 5.5.
I would take the over.
I would take the over, too. This team over the last 3 years has methodically rebuilt the offensive line and prepared to put a rookie quarterback in a good situation in terms of being able to keep him clean and allow him to do his job. It started with drafting Peter Skronsky out of Northwestern in the first round in 2023. They drafted J.C. Latham in the first round last year. They signed Lloyd Cushenberry in free agency a couple of years ago. They went out and signed Dan Moore and Kevin Zeitler this offseason, put big money into that. Those guys. They're putting the pieces in place for a rookie quarterback to be successful. At least we know that Cam Ward is not going to have to run for his life the way that we saw with Caleb Williams or the way that we saw with Bryce Young. Hell, the way we saw with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was the most contacted quarterback in the NFL last year.
Unreal.
Which is crazy. So, I mean, I think that Tennessee has positioned themselves for Cam Ward to have a successful rookie campaign, relatively speaking.
Looking at ESPN bet on my phone right now. Over is 5.5 minus 145 for the Titans in the win total right now. You may want to go grab that. Use promo code USL. We're on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance.
Hi, it's Randy Scott. You're obviously a big fan. Now you can catch me, though, giving you the top sports stories and highlights in a whole new place. Disney Plus. Me and Gary Streisky giving you the best of the day, SportsCenter's top 10 plays, and the best analysis you know and love from ESPN in a tasty little morsel. It's SC Plus. Find it on Disney Plus every day of the week.
This is Joe and Q.
My mom and dad worked at BART, train system in the Bay Area. Mama Q found me a way to get in there and get an interview. I walked in there, I thought I was Shedeur Sanders. Mama Q's got a great reputation. Pops has got a great reputation. All I got to do is show up and get the job. Mama Q said, hey, what happened to my son in his interview? And they said, well, how much time do you have? I don't know this. I was not in these meetings with Shedeur, but that's the kind of feeling that I get.
Joe and Q, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Hey, did you miss it, friends?
One of the questions that needs to be answered is basically what happens with Giannis. He's got one more year on his deal. The Giannis Bucks era, one of the great eras. We saw a young man come into the league as a flaquito, effectively, grow into one of the best players in the game, and has his championship to boot. The Bucks owe quite a bit to Giannis.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all of our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years, guaranteed, on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because of Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit the Liberty Way Verizon store at 7606 Trailside Drive today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Save big on brunch for mom, all in the Kroger app. Buy 2, get 2 free on 12 packs of Coke or 7-Up with your card. Then get flavorful medium Hass avocados for 69 cents each with a digital coupon. Shop these deals at your local Kroger, less than 5 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Kroger app to save big today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
The month of May is Lupus Awareness Month. Lupus is a chronic disease that can cause inflammation and pain in any part of the body. It's an autoimmune disease with no known cause or cure. Signs and symptoms include joint pain, rashes, fever, extreme fatigue, chest pain, hair loss, and sensitivity to sunlight. Do you have any of these symptoms? Take the Could You Have Lupus quiz by visiting lupusgreaterohio.org or contact 1-888-NO-LUPUS for more information. Funded by the Ohio Commission on Minority Health.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Somebody else fight for you.
Because all the donations, mine is one of the lives that's been saved. 1, 2, 3,
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Visit v.org/donate.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm John Ryder. First round of the NBA playoffs, a decisive Game 7 in Denver. It's late in the first quarter, and the Clippers lead the Nuggets 22-19. James Harden has 4 assists, hasn't attempted a field goal yet. Cavs All-Star guard Darius Garland questionable with a sprained big toe for tomorrow night's Game 1 of the East semis against the Pacers in Cleveland. 151st running of the Kentucky Derby goes down to the wire.
Journalism and sovereignty, nose to nose, down to the last 16th of a mile. Sovereignty has taken the lead. Journalism is second toward the inside. Maes is third, and it will be sovereignty to rule the Kentucky Derby.
The winning call on the Horse Racing Network, Sovereignty at 7-1 odds, noses out the favorite Journalism to win the Kentucky Derby with a time of 2 minutes and 2.31 seconds. Third round of the Byron Nelson in progress in Texas. Scotty Scheffler has the lead at 12 under. He's 6 ahead of Adam Schenk. On the baseball scoreboard, in the 9th, the Twins lead the Red Sox 4-3. Cody Clemens go-ahead 2-run homer in the 6th in his first career game at Fenway with his dad Roger Clemens in attendance. In the 5th, the Phillies shutting out the Diamondbacks 7-0. The 9th in Pittsburgh, the Padres have a 2-1 lead on the Pirates. Manny Machado with a solo homer. Finals, Daniel Schneemann, 2 home runs, including a go-ahead grand slam in the 9th, and the Guardians' 5-3 win over the Blue Jays in Toronto. Rays take the Yankees 3-2.
What's up, kiddos? Clinton Yates here, and coming up on Monday, we'll continue to react to the NBA postseason, break down the WNBA preseason, and fill you in on everything you missed from the weekend. That's Monday on Clinton and Friends at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Tonight, the podcast.
This is the Baseball Tonight podcast for Friday, May 2nd, 2025, and today will be better than yesterday. I'm Buster, only working from my home in Montana. Looking forward to our Sunday broadcast in Atlanta. We've got the Los Angeles Dodgers playing against the Atlanta Braves. Taylor Schwenk is working from the Schwenk Studios. And Taylor, today is Sarah Langs' birthday. And you know, we've heard from Sarah before about how important her birthday is to her. Taylor, I'm looking forward to hearing that. She sent us a nice essay about birthday importance and also about the best birthday in baseball history.
The birthday bit, she has capitalized on it. She's the owner of the I Love My Birthday Club. So when it gets to this day on the calendar, it is a true celebration. I really like that. A lot of people they dread their birthdays. They're not into it, but I like that she celebrates it. You should celebrate yourself at least once a year. Come on.
We do that? You celebrate yourself once a year?
Oh, more than once a year, probably, but definitely on my birthday.
Yeah, so I told this story. Growing up on the farm, there was only one moment when we were not required to go to the barn,
and it was not on my birthday. Okay? It was on Christmas morning. I didn't have to go to the barn to do chores, but every other day, 365, the morning and night, you got to go to the barn to milk the cows. So as you can imagine, birthdays weren't necessarily a big deal in Vermont growing up.
Eating your cake on a bale of hay there, Buster.
Oh, pretty much.
In between shoveling.
Yeah, my mom would make spaghetti. That was my favorite meal growing up, and she would make that. So we're going to hear from Sarah Langs coming up about, for her, why birthdays are important. As we get started this week, my top 5 for May 2nd, we have number 1, the New York Mets. You got a problem with that?
No problem with that.
Okay. Number 2, the Dodgers. What say you?
No problem. I'm fine with it.
Okay, number 3, the Padres.
Got a little bit of a problem with the Padres right now.
Okay, what you got? Yeah, are you like going to jump in here and say American League team? You need an American League team. Come on.
No. When we're recording this, the Padres, they've just taken two games from the Giants. So that's a step in the right direction, but they got swept by the Rays. They lost a series to the Tigers. They lost a series to the Astros. 2 of their early season series wins here against the Rockies and the A's. Like, I haven't really seen them, beat a good team other than the Cubs, and they're kind of sliding right now. So I need to see a little more from them.
And there's no question. They don't have a lot of depth, but they got Luis Arraez back. They got Jason Hayward back. Jackson Merrill will be back soon. So that, that's some of the context for why I got them at number 3. The Phillies, who are hot at number 4. They've won 4 straight games as you and I speak. And number 5 with the Cubs. Again, no American League teams in my top 5. You got a problem with that?
No problem. I wanted to put the Tigers there, but they lost their series to the Astros, man. I wanted them to be at number 5, and they said, nope, not this week.
Yeah, at some point, I think I would have the Tigers
Yankees
this week
too.
about 7, the Yankees about 8. Those 2 teams are right in that range. But, man, as Hembo told us with the numbers that he gave us on the podcast on Thursday, woof, it's incredible the difference in spending between the 2 leagues. Some news and notes as we get going. The Angels, Mike Trout left the Angels game against the Mariners with knee soreness. He told reporters afterward that actually his knee was already feeling better, and he's hoping it was just a case of some scar tissue tearing. The Royals had a great game against the Rays. Vinny Pasquantino got the team going the top of the first inning.
First one to Vinny Pasquantino. Fastball clobbered high in the air. Deep right center field. Caballeros to the track. He's at a roam. It's a 2-run blast. Vinny Pasquantino hunts the first pitch and destroys it. A 2-run homer to put the Royals on the board in the top of the first inning. It's 2-0.
And from 96.5 The Fan, that's all that Noah Cameron needed in his major league debut. He actually had a no-hitter into the 7th inning.
Curtis Mead, right-handed batter, swings and lines it down the third base line by the diving Garcia. It's a fair ball headed for the corner, but Drew Waters is on it in a hurry. And that is the first hit that Noah Cameron has allowed as a major league pitcher. 6 1/3 hitless innings in his major league debut. That's incredible.
Yeah, what a great story. Noah Cameron, who grew up just an hour from Kansas City. His parents were both Royals fans. He grew up a Royals fans. And in his debut game, pitches great and flirts with a no-hitter. Blue Jays, Red Sox, crazy game. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Blue Jays were losing 6-3. And Taylor, you're going to want to cover your ears. This happened.
Righty Whitlock sets, brings the glove up to his cheek. A look at second, the 2-0. Swing and a deep drive. Right field, way back. It's gone. We are tied at 6 in Toronto. The Blue Jays have come all the way back from down 6-0. And Anthony Santander blasts them right back into the game.
Does it hurt, Taylor, when you hear Santander's name?
Oh, my God. That was legitimately painful. I missed Tony Tater so much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what happened in the 10th inning.
Slayton's 2-1. Swing and a deep drive. Left field. Down for a hit. The Blue Jays win. Alejandro Kirk is your hero as Toronto comes back from down 6-0 to win it 7-6 in extra innings.
That from Sportsnet 590, The Fan. The Cardinals had a great day in Cincinnati in Game 2 of a doubleheader. They started this way.
The pitch,
A swing, and there's a high fly ball. Deep center field. Back to the wall. It's a gunner! It hits over the grass off the batter's eye in straightaway center field. The third home run of the year for Wilson Contreras, and his first home run since April the 21st when he hit a homer in the ninth inning in Atlanta. 3-0 Cardinals in the first inning.
It's on Rooney Cardinals Radio Network. The Cardinals win that game 9-1 to sweep the doubleheader. Now, there was a really frightening moment at PNC Park on Wednesday night. A fan is in critical condition after falling over the top of the Clemente wall in right field. This happened right after an Andy McCutcheon hit. Players on both teams immediately started gesturing toward right field because they saw the fan fall out of the stands. And we'll tell you more information as we get it. Taylor, what else you got?
Stay safe out there, everybody. Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective, they are on it throughout the NBA playoffs here. New episode. They'll have one out on Friday morning.
Yeah, did you hear Windy on Get Up talking about J.J. Redick?
No, what was he saying?
Oh, he was very critical of the way he conducted himself, because you saw J.J. Redick storm off when he was asked a question in a pregame press conference.
Wait
Kind of crazy.
Oh, my gosh. You're telling me that J.J. Redick, a Duke graduate, like a very famous Duke alum, stormed off in the middle of a press conference petulantly?
Storm off is probably a little strong on my part, but he was not happy with the question and basically walked away from the microphone, and it was kind of silly. Like, I mean, if you're an NBA coach, you ought to be able to handle questions better. But on the other hand, we just saw a Hall of Fame football coach basically have someone intercede and say, we're not going to talk about that with Bill Belichick. So who knows? Maybe people are just losing their minds in sports this week.
Oh, the world's sideways, man. All right, Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective. I'm going to watch that clip now.
What up and what's good? It's Randy Scott.
And it's Gary Streisky. And Randy, do me a quick favor. Never do that again.
I did instantly regret it. We are the duo that brings you SC Plus every weekday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, only on Disney Plus.
Highlights, top stories, and the best ESPN analysts, and of course, us.
Tasty morsels, just little bites of num-num.
SC Plus, all new and only on Disney Plus.
You promised.
I took the garbage out.
No, I'm talking about all the work we need to get done around here.
I know. We need a new roof and we need replacement windows.
How about a new bathroom and some overdue remodeling?
And how are we supposed to pay for all that?
My sister said she called Remodeling Loans and they were able to find her certified contractors.
That's great. But how'd she get the money to pay for all that?
Remodeling Loans offered 0 interest for 60 months. They even have payment plans with 0 down and 0 deposit.
Looks like we're getting a home makeover.
Great. Now, if I only knew someone to call for a husband makeover.
Really?
Remodeling Loans is the #1 leader in home improvement financing. Call 800-921-1403 today for a no credit check, no risk approval. Get approved today and we'll match you with the best contractors in your area. And remember, no deposit financing is now available. Call 800-921-1403. 800-921-1403.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
To consider whether or not Spoelstra is going to be gone. I'm not advocating for him to go. I'm not one of these guys. But I wouldn't be stunned at all if Pat Riley made that decision.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. This is Freddie and Harry.
You still have Deshaun Watson. You have Joe Flacco. You also have Kenny Pickett that you acquired. You have Dylan Gabriel and now Shedeur Sanders. And someone said competition. If you have to have 5 quarterbacks competing for a starting job, that tells me as a front office, you don't know how to judge the position correctly.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You have cancer. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself.
Round 1 of chemotherapy. I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna survive. There's no way I'm gonna let this take over me.
Cancer doesn't care what you look like, who you are.
It may not save my life. It may save my children's life. It may save someone you love.
You ain't get this cancer about you. Let's do it.
Live. Fight like like hell. And when you get too tired to fight, let somebody else fight for you.
Lives that's been saved.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Visit v.org/donate.
Alden Gonzalez covers baseball for ESPN. Alden, how you doing this week?
Hi, I'm doing great, Buster. How are you?
I'm doing great. We just heard from Sarah Langs about birthdays. What's the best birthday present you ever got?
I was ready for this question, and so I brought it for show and tell for the video audience. I thought in honor of Sarah Langs, I would make it baseball related. The best birthday present I ever got was this Wilson A2000 glove. I got it for my 15th birthday, right before I was going to start high school baseball. When I was a kid, all I cared about was taking ground balls, and I only did it with a glove from Kmart. I don't even know if Kmart still exists. Does anybody know what Kmart is? So my parents stepped up for my 15th birthday and got me the Wilson A2000 glove I've always wanted. Still have it to this day.
That's a pretty good one. And what kind of maintenance do you do? I don't know if you heard our interview with Dansby Swanson the other day. You were talking about all the work oiling the glove with mink oil.
Yeah, I never oiled it, never did that whole stick it in the microwave thing. I just used it, but it has been restrung like twice already.
Okay. I swear to you, I did not do this on purpose. But I had two presents, birthday presents, which were great. But one of them was a bicycle that I got when I was 7 years old. Here's the thing. Growing up in Vermont, you get a bicycle in the middle of February. Not great. Because all it is like ice and snow. It wasn't going to go out. But the other one, and this was behind me, I didn't do the setup, was this cat that I got. Popcorn.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
I got Popcorn. It was this great yellow cat. He was awesome. After a year, we think somebody stole him. And it was just the friendliest cat, but he was just the greatest cat. And that's a picture of, behind me, a picture of me and Popcorn when I was 6, 7 years old.
Buster, these two birthday gifts are kind of tragic. You can't use the bike. Somebody steals your cat.
Well, I got it. I wore out that bike afterward, okay? But, right, I was sad about Popcorn, that's for sure. Right. Let's talk about some stuff going around baseball right now. Yeah. Seattle Mariners leading the American League West, and I made some calls this week and asked about what they've been doing lately, which is a lot of hitting, and that's not really what we think of when we think of the Mariners. And I tweeted out these numbers that since August 1st of last year, they ranked second among all American League teams in runs scored, and home runs, walk rates, and stolen bases. And I think we can tie those numbers to the hiring of Edgar Martinez, who came on board just after August 1st last year. I know from my time on Sunday Night Baseball working with Alex Rodriguez that Edgar has a special, simple way of talking about hitting, and I wonder how much of that is translating and is behind what the Mariners are doing. What do you think about Seattle?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, and I know they were adamant about bringing him in late last season when the offensive struggles continued. I was talking to a Mariners official recently, and he expressed optimism in the team because they weren't getting good starting pitching, and they were still winning. And the point of that was that they feel like the good starting pitching is going to come because that's the strength of this team. Now, obviously, George Kirby and Logan Gilbert have to be okay, so we got to keep monitoring that. But, you brought up those offensive numbers. They're doing it with Julio Rodriguez going through another slow April. And I think he's just going to have bad Aprils for the rest of his career, and then he's going to go on these ridiculous runs. Randy Arozarena is operating on a completely different level. I was high on the Mariners going into the year. Pat on the back, American League pick, by the way, Buster, because a full season of Randy Arozarena. I didn't think he'd hit like this. Obviously Cal Rowley's doing his thing. Jorge Polanco is on another level, which is interesting because the Mariners got late into their offseason and they had a need still at second base / third base. They didn't really like any of the options that were out there, at least in terms of their price range. And for them, Jorge Polanco fit, even though they saw him struggle last year at the price because some of the underlying numbers suggested that he was going to be better. And man, does that look good right now. I mean, with Victor Robles out to be getting that kind of production from Polanco, J.P. Crawford is having a bounce back year, which is great to see. Rosarena is having a major impact in that lineup. I mean, look, Buster, you know this. You've talked about it on this podcast. The American League is wide open. If the Mariners can hit a little bit better, I mean, they're going to look really good.
Taylor, what kind of victory lap could Alden take if the Mariners win the American League? I mean, you think about all the predictions that have been made by different people on this show. If the Mariners win the American League, I mean, we might have to just retire all predictions going forward.
Because
that would be
5K.
something.
A victory
What?
5K. Half marathon.
Yeah. Can you imagine that, Taylor, how obnoxious Alden's going to be if the Mariners go on and win the American League?
Well, the guy's already full of himself, so I don't know how much higher you can go here, but we could etch it in stone in like the show notes or something. Alden was right about the Mariners in 2025.
I mean, it's the first day of May and I'm already obnoxious. So
yeah, the only thing that could
they're just playing well right now. They haven't done anything.
Taylor, the only thing that could compete with that would be if I continue to win week after week after week in Todd Radum's contest, which is coming up here in a moment. We'll see if that continues. Right? Because I can be that obnoxious as Alden's being right now about the Mariners pick.
Yeah, this is a bad place for me right now. You guys are just all over the place.
It's true. He's an Orioles fan who loses the weekly contest all the time with Todd Radum. We'll see where that goes. Tell me about the Dodgers and their pitching injuries, because I think for most teams, if they had a series of injuries like this, that would be a real problem. With the Dodgers, It feels like nothing.
Sure, absolutely. And it says something about their depth, which is very real and impressive. But on the other side of that, I mean, you can't help but take a closer look at all the pitching injuries that they've had, especially over the last 2 years. Mark Pryor did a big session with the media the other day and was asked about that because, I mean, Andrew Friedman said this last year when they found out that Gavin Stone was going to have season-ending surgery, that, like, they're going to have to take a deep internal look at, like, why this keeps happening. And I don't know that we've had any, or they have had any sort of definitive answers as to why it's happening. I think one thing to keep in mind with the Dodgers, outside of, like they're very into like the analytical bend of, chasing velocity, and they get pitchers who do that. And, obviously like there's been a lot of studies about how that portends to elbow injuries and stuff like that. But they're also the type of team that can take a chance on guys with checkered injury histories because they have the money, they have the resources to back that up with depth. Think drafting Walker Buehler coming off Tommy John surgery. Think giving Tyler Glasnow as much money as they did on an extension, even though he's missed as much time as he has. So some of that obviously weighs into that. It might be more that than sort of like a systemic issue. I think their injuries just sort of encapsulate the wider array of injuries throughout the sport. But as it pertains to this season, it's fascinating how they doubled down on starting pitching depth over the offseason. And you look up and we just got past April and it's like, man, they really need Clayton Kershaw back. Or, man, they really need Roki Sasaki to figure it out at the big league level like right now. Getting Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin back, it's been pretty big. What Yamamoto has been doing is incredible. But I mean, they can't figure out what's going on with Tyler Glasnow. They don't really have an injury to point to with him. Blake Snell, he's not going to throw for a couple of weeks. When he does start throwing, is he going to have to start all over again? Maybe not. He hopes not. At the moment, they don't seem like serious shoulder injuries, but they are injuries to the shoulder for a pitcher, which those are obvious red flags. So, I mean, one thing that Andrew Friedman talked about constantly over the offseason is that he doesn't want to go out and try to acquire talent at the trade deadline because it's just not, because the prices are exorbitant at that point. But at this point, he might have to go get starting pitching at the trade deadline.
If there's anything available. We've been talking about how the American League, these teams being in this big bog and all having chances to win, there may not be that many sellers. And this is something I've heard a lot from executives this week when I've asked that question. Ground level on the Dodgers, I think their offense is so extraordinary, their bullpen potentially so extraordinary that in the regular season, it really is not going to matter that much who's on the injured list with the starting pitching. I think they can absolutely overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, that's been their approach for the last, most of these last
That's how they won the World Series last year. They were down to 3 starting pitchers, and they won a World Series with that.
Yeah, they don't want to do that again. And that's why they spent as much money as they did this offseason, because they don't think they'll ever be able to pull that off again. So it can't be that. But, I mean, the regular season is qualified almost and I don't think the players treat it this way, but the regular season almost qualifies as a tryout period for October. That's kind of what it is. Now, the Padres playing well, the Giants and the Diamondbacks doing what they've been doing could change that. But that's just, it's almost assumed that the Dodgers at this point are going to win the National League West. And that might not end up being true this year. But that's just the way they've always treated it. Or it seems.
And I want to look at the injuries, not only with the Dodgers, but across the board in the industry with pitchers from 30,000 feet. I think teams now have sort of settled on the mindset of, look, we're just going to continue to ask pitchers, throw your nastiest pitch as hard as you can, maximum spin, and if breakdowns happen, so be it. That they are willing to live with that. I'm not going to use the player's name because he hasn't given me permission to talk about it out loud, but a player who's not on the Dodgers, I want to make this clear. I heard a story about how his team basically said, do this pitch over and over and over again, and on the face of it, the player was like, that's going to put my arm at risk more, but I'm going to try to do that because that's when I potentially am going to be at my best to have maximum spin on this pitch. And he broke down. And I think teams now are sort of at the point of, well, they're going to break down one way or the other. So we might as well, when they're pitching, we might as well try to max out, to redline and do the best we can. I don't think there's a lot of thought of what can we do to try to preserve these guys. What do you think?
I mean, we've used this analogy before about pitching, maybe particularly starting pitchers have gone the way of running backs, right?
Yes.
So, use them up to then just recycle them and replace them. And I think we have seen that a lot with relievers over the years, and I think that's why, and this is just sort of, this what is a systemic issue throughout the game, and it's why I wonder what it is that's going to fix it, and we talked about this a bunch, but that's why I think limiting the amount of times that you could option players, even more so, limiting the amount of times you could option players to the minor leagues, putting limits on roster rules, I think that's the only thing that's going to make these organizations change their mantras. Because, I mean, it's true. Maximizing spin leads to swing and miss leads to production. And, if you could maximize that with certain pitchers and then bring in the next guy and shape certain pitches and maximize his stuff and, bring in the next guy after that. I mean, it's a more cost-efficient way for organizations to run, however volatile it might be. And there's nothing in the game right now that's going to change that mindset.
Nope.
Anything, you're just promoting it even more.
This show and all of ESPN Radio is streaming live on the ESPN app, featuring ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-294-0222. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-294-0222. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-294-0222. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
Snyder Brick and Block and Snyder Hardscapes offer your home even more accent and beauty. From stone, brick, and precast items like tables, benches, and buffer block, see it all in our showrooms at West Dorothy Lane and Industrial Estates Drive, as well as in Troy on Route 25A and in Middletown on Cincinnati-Dayton Road. If your project is patio building, products like flagstone, pavers, and retaining walls, we've got you covered. Visit SnyderOnline.com. Snyder Brick and Block, for 75 years where quality makes the difference.
Nick from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating.
Keep celebrating when you bundle and save with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Save even more on your favorites. Simply mix and match 5 or more participating items and get them for just 99 cents each during our 99-cent sale. Going on now.
Hi, it's Keith Byers. Tax season is here, and I'm sure you're thinking about who's going to do my taxes. Try my friends at Arrowhead Tax Service in New Carlisle. Call Michael today at 937-543-5770. They're ready to serve you at 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. Arrowhead Tax Service gives back to the community through athletics and nonprofits. And all new clients save 10% off. Online at arrowheadtaxservice.com, where their target is your satisfaction.
The Nuggets currently on a 7-0 run with 2 minutes to go in the first half in Denver. The Nuggets leading the Clippers 53-43 in this winner-take-all Game 7 of the first round of the NBA playoffs. Nikola Jokic has 7 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Russell Westbrook with 10 points against his former team. Game available on other ESPN radio affiliates. First round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's Game 7 in Dallas. And the Avalanche and Stars are scoreless early in the first period. It's on ABC. At 7-1 odds, Sovereignty is the winner of the 151st Kentucky Derby, edging out the favorite, Journalism. In baseball, an emphatic walk-off in Miami.
First pitch. Stowers hits it out to left center. Soderstrom on the move. That is back, and it's gone. To left center field, a walk-off. Grand slam for Kyle Stowers. And off the Reaper. The Marlins come back and win it.
The call on 940 WINZ. Kyle Stowers, that walk-off. He had 2 home runs in the game. Get that winning grand slam off star closer Mason Miller, his first blown save as the Marlins with a win over the A's 9-6. That was their first grand slam in 11 years. Last one to hit one was Giancarlo Stanton with Miami. Matt Chapman hits a go-ahead grand slam, and the Giants 6-3 win over the Rockies. Padres get their 4th straight win, 2-1 victory at Pittsburgh. Astros over the White Sox 8-3. Rays beat the Yankees 3-2 in the Bronx.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday as we head into the second round of the playoffs, I'll tell you which player left in the postseason has the most to gain. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
You worked on Ronald Acuna Jr. stories in the past. We had this little flare-up a couple weeks ago where he responded on Twitter, or someone on his behalf responded on negatively to Jared Kelenic not being pulled out of a game after he didn't run hard on a ball hit to the wall. Kelenic was thrown out. Kelenic, since then, has been sent to the minor leagues. Ronald Acuna Jr. is working his way back. He's going to probably be back sometime in the last week of May. But one of the questions that was asked on our Zoom call was, are there any hangover effects from that? Any lingering effects from that tweet, what he said, other players? Jeff Francoeur, the longtime announcer, former player for the Atlanta Braves, was really critical of Ronald Acuna Jr. My own instinct and what I said to our group was, between Snitker and the veteran players on that team, I suspect that they're all kind of like, well, Ronald's Ronald. He's going to do what he does, and they'll welcome him back when he comes back. What about you?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think if it were in a different clubhouse, I would be more worried about the hangover effect there. I will note, though, I think in this instance, the Braves are going to miss Ron Washington and Eric Young Jr. Those were That was a first base coach, third base coach, Eric Jr. in charge with outfielders, but they had great relationships with Ronald Acuna Jr. while they were there. And they were a very good buffer over the years between him and Brian Snitker and upper management there. They were really good at holding him accountable. And I'm not saying that without them, he can't be. He's at a different stage in his life now. He's a father now. He's married.